Hey, what's up guys? JS Cards here coming at you with a Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and today we're gonna go over my Ice Barrier deck. Now I am using cards that are from outside of the structure deck to make this a little bit better. This unfortunately isn't the greatest structure deck that we've seen, but we're gonna try to make this work as best as possible, and I tried to make it as budget as possible too. Structure decks are released to new players and returning players, so that way you can buy 3 of them and maybe pick up some single cards as well, and then mix everything together and have a somewhat decent deck to take to locals or play with friends, maybe do a casual remote duel with. So I just wanted to showcase some cheap cards that you can get that aren't in the structure deck, and then of course we have a full extra deck, and there's some things that you can switch from in and out of there, but we'll go over that in a minute. All right, so jumping into the deck profile, starting off, we have 3 copies of Revealer of the Ice Barrier. This card's really cool, and I love the artwork. So if you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot tribute summon. This card also lets you discard 1 card and then special summon 1 Ice Barrier tuner from your deck. It does lock you into special summoning water monsters for the rest of the turn, but everything in your deck is water, so you're pretty much fine there. Also, if you're going to use an Ice Barrier monster effect where you have to discard a card from your hand, you can banish Revealer from your graveyard instead of one of those cards. So a nice little alternative there. It's a pretty nice new card for the deck. After that, I play 3 copies of Speaker for the Ice Barriers. I love the artwork. This is a really cool card too. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card's in your graveyard and you control a Ice Barrier monster, you can banish this card and then special summon 1 Ice Barrier token, which is a level 1. Then, the next 3 we have is General Wayne. He's actually the level 5 for the deck, which is kind of nice to have, and spells and trap cards that are sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard are banished instead. He also says that if your opponent controls a monster and you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Ice Barrier spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So nice little level 5 special summon, and then you can search out one of your important spells or traps. Our last 3 for the deck is 3 copies of Prior of the Ice Barrier. This is a nice level 2 aqua water monster. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot special summon any level 5 or higher monsters that turn you summon this way, but you can then tribute this card and then target 1 Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. For the 2-ofs, I have 2 copies of Zuijin of the Ice Barrier. You can tribute this card to special summon 1 level 5 or higher Ice Barrier monster from your hand. Also, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 level 3 or higher water monster you control, reduce its level by exactly 2, and if you do, you can special summon this card. So this card allows for some pretty fun level manipulation, and it's another free special summon. With the new Trish being a level 11, and then of course Trish being a level 9, and they both require 3 monsters, you kind of have to just mess with the levels a little bit sometimes and try to get exactly what you need onto your board so you can go into your synchro summons. And another awesome 2-of that I play here is 2 copies of Hexa Spirit of the Ice Barrier, also probably one of the cutest Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever. This is a nice level 1 tuner. While you control an Ice Barrier monster, monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. You can send 1 level 3 or lower Ice Barrier monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster's until the end of the turn. And then just for some 1-ofs here, we have Dance Princess, Strategist, and Defender. With Dance Princess, if you control another Ice Barrier monster, you can reveal any number of Ice Barrier monsters in your hand and then target an equal number of set spells and traps your opponent controls. Return those targets to the hand. Strategist just has a once per turn effect where you can send 1 Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard to draw 1 card. I also like these because they are level 4s. We play some rank 4 Exceed water monsters in the extra deck, as you can probably imagine, so I also just like having some more level 4s in this deck. Also, Defender is pretty cool just because it can be annoying. It's a nice level 3 tuner, but it also stops your Ice Barrier monsters from being attacked. For some generic water support, I play 2 copies of Silent Angler. If you control a water monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Again, it locks you into water monsters, but that doesn't really matter. This is also just nice because it is a level 4, so if you have a tuner and another monster, or just a tuner out, you can get this card out and then go into one of your synchros, or if you have another level 4 out, you can always special summon this and then just overlay into something too. Then for the hand traps, only 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Like I said, I was trying to keep this as budget as possible, but this is also nice because it's a level 1 tuner. But these could easily be Ash Blossoms. You could even replace something else to get Driver and Gammas in here. Also being tuner monsters, that could help. But I just tried to go for the cheapest hand trap. That's also still good. But yeah, feel free to spend as much as you want on this deck and include better hand traps. This is just kind of what I came up with on the fly. Moving on to the spells, I play 3 copies of the new card here, Winds Over the Ice Barrier. This card lets you tribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters and special summon from your deck as many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other. This card also lets you banish it from the graveyard and then target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that is banished or in your graveyard as well, and you can add it back into your hand. Next up, I play 3 copies of Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. This is the card that the whole deck was named after. When you activate this card, you can target one level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Also, if you control 3 or more Ice Barrier monsters, they are unaffected by your opponent's extra deck monsters. There are some very annoying and powerful extra deck monsters out there, so this card's actually really cool. And then, next up, 3 copies of Medallion of the Ice Barrier. This card lets you add 1 Ice Barrier monster from your deck to your hand, and it's not a hard once per turn. It's got a nice, simple, short sentence. This card's awesome. Nice searcher for the deck. Then I played 2 copies of Salvage, just a great way to get back some of your water monsters that you already used. And then for the one-ofs, we have Foolish Burial, 1 for 1, Called by the Grave, and Monster Reborn. And for the last card here, 1 trap card. It is Terror of Trishula. I think this is actually a pretty neat, interesting trap card. So depending on the number of Ice Barrier Synchro monsters that you control with different names, you can activate 1 of 3 effects, and they're actually Trishula's effects that she has. So with 1 or more, you can banish 1 card your opponent controls. With 2 or more, you can banish 1 card from your opponent's graveyard, and with 3 or more, you can banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand. Also, if your opponent activates an effect that targets an Ice Barrier Synchro monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate the effect. So this is a pretty powerful trap card. I don't really think it's worth playing more than 1 of. Some people might not even play it at all, but I thought, why not? It's new, we'll try it out, and I think it's pretty good. All right, now moving on to the extra deck. Starting off with our brand new Synchro boss monster here, we have Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. It's a level 11 Synchro monster that says you can banish up to 3 cards your opponent controls. If this Synchro summoned card is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier from your extra deck or graveyard. Its attack then becomes 3,300. You can also half the attack of your opponent's face-up monsters and their effects are negated. So it can be pretty devastating if you can bring this out, and also just fantastic artwork again. It's a really cool card and very powerful. Then for our other Ice Barrier synchros, we have Duloran, of course classic Tiger King, and then we have Brionac, Gungnir, and regular Trish. So yeah, you can go into all of these. I wanted to play at least 1 of each to kind of go with the trap card that we have. You can definitely mess with these ratios though. This whole extra deck is not set in stone, so feel free to add whatever you want. Another great water synchro I have is Crystron Amatrix. and Adamancipator Dragite. Dragite's one of my favorite synchro monsters ever. It's a nice generic level 8. Being a water is just a plus for this deck, and being able to negate a spell or trap is very powerful. For the links, I have one Miss Starboy, one Area, one Marincess Coral Anemone, and now here is the one flex spot for the deck. Like I said, I was trying to keep this as budget as possible. So if you wanted to spend the money, this is where you could play Halqifibrax or Needle Fiber. We're getting close to banlist season, so, you know, maybe hold off on picking up Halks, although right now they are about 20 bucks, which isn't awful. But again, if you're like a new player or a budget player, $20 is, you know, it can be a lot, and I totally get that. It did just get an Ulti reprint recently, very recently actually, so it'll be interesting to see if that affects the price. But you know, we are approaching banlist season. Who knows what's going to happen? I feel like right now the price is going to dip because maybe people are thinking it's going to get banned, but I have a feeling if it survives the ban list, it's going to shoot back up in price. But I don't know, so you know, just kind of be cautious about that. Buy it at your own risk. If you already have it, throw it in here, because yeah, Hulk you can play in any deck, but this is where I would play Halqifibrax. If you don't own a copy or you don't want to play it, you could easily play maybe like another Trish, another sort of Link monster. It really depends on what you have. I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I just wanted to let you guys know Halqifibrax is a good choice, but I understand if you don't want to play it. For the links, we have Totally Awesome and Bahamut Shark, and then two just really powerful water exceeds that are easy to make as well are the one Abyss Dweller and number 101. So there you guys have it. That is my Ice Barrier deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. Also, let me know if you'd like to maybe see this deck in action with some EDO Pro gameplay. Thanks again for watching this video. Stay tuned for more Yu-Gi-Oh! News, deck profiles, and opening videos in the future, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out and have a good one.